Yes, I've heard of it.
Do you have an
Ahead of the
idea
term.
about okay, so what do you know about product management?
I don't know.
I said, what do you know about product management?
Like the planning and the developing of products, I guess.
Okay, okay. Is a close try. Right, let's get into the course.
Okay.
So the big question. And before you can understand what is product management, you like have to know what a product is in terms of product management and what product management does, like what is concerned about before we can give a definition to that. Now, whether it's a music app on your phone, your favorite ride-hailing service. Now, when I say ride-hailing service, this is basically your boat, your Uber. You've probably used those apps before to book a ride around Benin City or wherever you may be. Even student portal, this very those that okay, I won't assume, but if you've been to the university, you definitely interacted with a what we call a student portal, probably a website where you log in your details, where the school stores official information about you or manage things like your exams and records. That's a product. That's equally a software product. Someone built it, someone delivered it as a product to the school, and it's currently being maintained by someone. I said, let's say someone also helped imagine, okay, let's say, let me name something else I'm also familiar with. Social media, I like using that as an example because there's nobody that's going to use social media apps. And the last time I talked, I think I gave an analysis on the WhatsApp, and they were all like wide open because they were all like eyes wide open. Like they didn't believe that there's so much details that went into the development of WhatsApp. Now, let's go ahead. Said someone helped imagine, plan, and guide the creation of those software tools or platforms that you use. And that person is often called a product manager. Like I said, when I gave analysis about WhatsApp in my onboarding class, like a lot of people were, I could see the expression on their face, were like, really? Like, yeah, you might just be using it today and you're like, oh, it's WhatsApp. All I know is that Mark Zuckerberg owns it or Facebook made it. But there was a lot of thoughtfulness that went into developing that tool we are using, like just WhatsApp. There was a lot of research. There's a lot of understanding your behavior as a person that is using it before they could deliver this product called WhatsApp to you. So it's not just as simple as oh, I have an idea. You know, usually we usually tell Mark Zuckerberg story. Oh, I have an idea. I want to make an app people use. I just jump on it and just use the blue app or the green app, and that's it. There's a lot of process behind it. It's way more interesting. I won't just say deeper, interesting than it looks like in the surface. So in this session, in this introduction, I'll be enlightening you on what product management really means, different types of product managers, and what product managers do day to day. Well, I believe you're already familiar or you're already aware that product managers, we don't write codes. Are you confirmed? Are you aware, Elizabeth? All right, yeah. So we don't write codes. We don't move design elements on um, as often, although we use certain tools, which I'll introduce you later on the course. But unlike a typical designer, we're not spending 8 hours a day moving design elements, although we do use design tools sometimes. So then what are we doing day to day? Let's proceed. Before we get to that, I want to also like highlight what a product manager is not, because some persons hear these two terms, product manager, and you like just assume, okay, probably they're probably bossing someone around, or more like supervising, something like that. But in the tech industry, I've been a product manager for Been IC product manager for around 3 years, been a product manager for close to 2 years now. I have products that are currently live in the markets, and some that I'm actively managing. And so I just finished a meeting with my team members, and we're trying to like resolve something about the product we are currently. It's already in the market, but well, we'll learn about that earlier as we advance in the course. So, as a product manager, let me personalize this. I'm not the boss of the team. And I'll later on explain what this team consists of. Um, I'm not exactly project manager because a lot of them get confused between the two. Who is a project manager? Who is a product manager? Then, excuse me. All right, I'm back. I just need to ensure that there was no distractions from my end. So let me give context to all these things because before I start explaining why we are not these things. In product management, are not you
Hi, your mic is muted.
Yeah, I said I apologize for all the interruption. This is our first day. We're basically trying to like settle in, and I assure you that from the next class, everything will move smoothly as expected. All right, so I'm going to back to the call. Okay. Let me reiterate again because obviously there's the details I ought to make sure I'm aware. For the sake of Sam that joined us in. So let's start from introduction again. Like I said, apps I use every day. That's basically the products we use. That's what is known as a product. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go over again. Um, so whether it's a music app on your phone, your favorite ride hailing service. When I say ride hailing, basically your Bolt, your Uber, or those student portal we use, like in schools. There's this website that every student has to be logged in. Your details are there. Basically, everything about your student is managed on that website. That is also products, like I said. Someone helped imagine, plan, and guide the creation of that product. Now, the next slide talked about what a product manager is not, but it's mostly key details. What is a product manager, first of all, or you know what a product manager is not? A product manager is responsible for the creation and the development of a product. And when we say product in this industry in tech, we're referring to software products because products can also mean other things in other contexts. Can mean a physical item, can mean hardware and the rest. Even the very laptop we use is a product developed by someone. But product management, specifically in our age and time regarding tech, often has to do with software products. Basically, apps that you may use on your phone, websites you may use on, you may visit, whether mobile, whether on your phone, whether on your PC. Basically, software is an interactive face to this product or to this software that you use, and they are very common. So that's what we refer to as products. And I've mentioned examples like the music app on your phone, YouTube Music, Audio Mac, you name it, Spotify, Bolt, Uber, even the OP you use every day, Facebook. Just think of 5 apps you use every day on your phone or websites you visit often on your PC. Like we're on this call using a software called Teams, developed by Microsoft. That software is a product from Microsoft, and there's a product manager in charge of maintaining this software. There's a product manager responsible for even the creation of this software called Teams. All right. So software is what we regard to as products. And as a product manager, what you are doing is that you create this, you are responsible for creating these products and you're also maintaining the product. So why it was important I begin to mention what a product manager is not, like you're not the boss of a team at this. Like a typical manager in common sense is probably managing a team or managing people, basically. When product management, you are not managing people, like the name implies. You are managing a product, but you'll be working with people to be able to achieve your goals. And part of the people you work with are software engineers, designers, even marketing things. Because after creating products, someone has to put it out there. Someone has to ensure that there are customers to use this product. I believe you've all come across one advertisement on social media before trying to advertise an ad. I think even today, even Instagram does ad. Yeah, it's funny sometimes. You can be on Instagram and you see an ad about TikTok, or you be on TikTok and you see an ad about Facebook. So if it's somewhat funny, but till today they still advertise this product. So they still a marketing aspect. So there's a whole different specialty of people you work with to ensure you achieve your goal. But the two major are usually a software engineer and a designer. The software engineer is one responsible for writing the codes to create this product. So whether it's a web developer or a mobile app developer, they are the ones that do the actual programming for this to turn these products from ideas to actual software you use on your device. Then the designer is responsible for creating the interface you see. Now, I'm going to explain, assuming that many of you are not fully aware of these things already or these rules. So we'll go a little bit basic. Now, you can see whether you're joining this call from your phone or from your PC, there's something you are seeing on your screen right now, right? You are seeing on your screen, there's a layout, there are icons, there are sections in the screen, and all that. All these things are all called design elements. So it is the work of a UI UX designer, or some we call them product designers, to create or to design this thing you are seeing. Why the developer is the work of the developer to ensure that these things have function. Are you with me? These things have function. If there are no codes executing a logic behind these design elements you are seeing on your screen, one thing I know that is definitely on your screen, regardless of the interface you're using, if you are on your phone or this call or your PC, you definitely see an icon called a mic. There's an icon called a camera. There's an icon that says you have to raise your hand and chat and people. And when you click these things, they perform an action, right? You click the mic, is that to mute or mute? Basically telling the audio system on your phone to turn on the mic or turn it off. Same with the camera. You click it, it performs an action. But before the code, a designer made all these things and they were just made designs. So you see, when these two professionals marry their work together, it gives you the actual product. without a designer, a software engineer can just write codes, or you might not even have direction of how. Have you seen a poorly designed website before? I don't know if you have seen a poorly designed website. Like, what example will I use? Those very simple news blog websites you just see, and it's just cluttered. There are ads everywhere. Sometimes you even struggle to navigate through it. That's more of a developer doing his work without the assistance of a designer. Because a designer will put in more thoughtfulness into how the app should look and be more pleasing and useful to you. So in product management, you work with these two people. Now, that's where the problem now comes. Remember, I highlighted the problem just now when I talked about a poorly used website and how a designer was probably absent in that case. Because some persons, they just want to build a website and be like, oh, just get a developer and do a website. They don't get hire a graphic design, a UI UX designer or a product designer. And the developer just goes ahead to put basic functions and it doesn't really put time into designing. So that's where the problem now comes. A designer can design anything, but who tells the designer what to design? Like every single button on here, on this interface you are seeing, they all have a use. Imagine there was some random button here that you clicked on and did nothing. There's no such button. Every single button here have a use. It's because there was a product manager behind the design process of this very Teams app that you're using to ensure that time and resources was not wasted. Designer went ahead and start trying to design as though he's designing an app for Mars or something that aliens will use. Everything is very purposeful. Nothing is redundant. Same with the software developers. I mentioned that a typical scenario is when you just hire a separate software developer, develop a product like a very wacky website. And because there was no design insight in that, or no designer was involved in the process, he just did what he liked. The same thing too. Who tells the software developer what exactly to code, what features, what functionalities to make? So these two experts, they might be experts in their field, but someone has to guide the process. Someone has to be there to tell them, oh, we need a mic on this app. And this is the reason why we need this mic. Someone also has to be there to say, okay, this is what this mic is to do. So this is how you are going to write your codes to ensure that it works. Are you understanding? Are you, if you understand me, kindly just give a thumbs up. If you don't, you can unmute and ask a question and I would like to go back. All right. So they might be experts in their own lane, but somebody has to guide them on what to do, what exactly to build. So they don't waste resources, they don't move. And I keep using the word waste resources because it's very, very important. I'm a product manager, and in my day-to-day work, that's one thing I strive for. I'm always overseeing the work of my developers, always writing up PR reviews, always giving them specific functional requirements because they must not waste resources. Resources involves time, involves the effort they put in, and even possibly company funds in developing this thing. We want to ship out a working product as fast as possible. We want to satisfy our customers. We want them to move from being a startup to paying scaling, having thousands of users, and not just thousands of users that they're actually paying to use our product. We want to increase our revenue. So you see, they are goals to meet. So there's no space or enduring waste in that process. It will be very, very costly. So I have to ensure that everything is very, very precise in what they are doing. That is what a product manager do. All right. So that's why in the next slide, I'm about to say, we are not the boss of the team. Although you work with these experts to build this product, like I said, you are not writing codes, you are not doing much designing, but still, like I said, you direct these people on what to build, but it doesn't make you like their boss per se. No, you are not telling them you must do this, you will do that. No, it's the product you are managing. You are all like colleagues in the process, but more like for you to them is more like what we call a North Star. And let me give context to that if you are not familiar with that term. Some of you might be Christians here, and you all know the story of Jesus Christ, right? And how there was a star that led the three wise men. So to them, that star was their direction. So when I use that word, that term figuratively, a North Star, that is basically it's giving direction. So when I say a program manager, you are like a North Star to these professionals. You are responsible to give them direction, but doesn't make you like their boss. You are not like, oh, I'm going to sack you. You didn't do this well, so I'm going to cut your pay. No, no, no. We are not that kind of managers. Also, you are not a project manager, although you may do some project planning. Yes, this is where confusion usually comes with a lot of persons trying to decide what career path to take. Is it product management? Is it project management? I get these questions a lot. Uh, what is the difference between a project manager and a product manager? Well, in the industry, most times people just abbreviate their roles or their title and you just see PM. I believe you've seen that before. Say PM. PM is PM. It can mean anything. It can mean a project manager. It can mean a product manager. So it just shows how closely correlated they are, and very easy for people to like get confused. So as a project manager, you have to understand that you are, as a product manager, you have to understand you are not a project manager. And I'm going to give you a clear distinction between both. Project management is broad in the sense that it's not just focused on software. It can be applied in any field. Projects can come in any form, any form. You are trying to build a house, that's a project. You are trying to procure some equipment for your business, that's a project. You are trying to form an organization, that's a project. So projects can happen in any context, although they still happen in tech, in context of techs. They are still project managers, but we call them IT. Now, today I'm going to focus on differentiating between that IT project manager and a product manager in tech. And the very difference between both of them is in how far they go with a product or managing a product. Now, a IT product manager in tech industry usually, let's say, for example, let's pick a tech project. Let's say a school now. A school wants to build a database management system for their students. They've been manually recording the score sheets of their students. You know, most schools still do that. They manually write the scores. The teacher will have one notebook where they write all the grades of the students. Some are smart enough to use Excel, but some do it manually. And they issue results manually also. It has to be on paper. So, and all that, all the whole manual stuff, they all do that. So let's say now they've realized that they are in 2026 and they need to be digital. It's much easier. You can put everything in one server and anybody can access it. Students can download their results online. Parents can monitor the progress of their students online. They just need to log into a website, type in the name and the details of their child, and they can see how they are performing in their class. So let's say the school wants to undertake this project. They want to move from being a manually focused administration to a digital one. They want to have a website where they can put student results and all that. That's a project. You can hire a project manager to oversee that, and it brings about the team and all that, and they do it. Now, as a project manager, his duties end in successfully delivering that website. A IT project manager. Nothing concerns him with whether that website would continue to work for the next 5 years. Nothing concerns him whether they are going to maintain it, whether they are going to renew any subscription the following year or at the end of the year. That doesn't concern him. His duty was just oversee and manage that project of creating a website for us, and it ends there. In terms of product, we call it the product life cycle. We'll learn more about that in the slides. So a project manager, his work basically ends in just a IT project manager, not just any project manager, one that's working in tech, because you come across those terms in the industry. His work ends in just getting that website ready and all. But for a product manager, you don't just build the product as a product manager. You are there to see it through, even to the very end. I mentioned something during my onboarding class, and some persons were shocked. Like, do you know that every software product you use have a predicted, or let me not say predicted, or is known that there's going to be an end to that product. In product lifecycle, we call it the death phase. There's going to be an end to every product you use. Yes, the day will come that that product will no longer be used again. And it's not even too far to imagine. How many of you remember To Go? You probably used To Go in the past. To Go or BlackBerry Messenger. Are you using those things today? No, they are obsolete, they are gone. That's a product that reached the end of its life cycle. So, as a product manager, we are going to follow that product. You are going to manage it from the very birth to the end of it, when eventually it has to be retired or it leaves the market. That's what differentiates you from a project manager. Project manager they are like hirelings, they just come, do their work and leave. Product manager is like the product is your child. You know, when you give birth to a child, you have to raise the child and follow them up till they become adults eventually. So let's use that analogy. So it's a clear difference. It depends. The difference between a project manager and a product manager is how long they stay managing the software development lifecycle of the product. You are not a designer or engineer. Yes, I've said that one. I think that one is very clear. You are not writing codes. You are not spending 8 hours on Figma designing, although you use Figma sometimes. Instead, you act as a bridge between the customer, the business, and the team. So we already know about the team. How about the customer and the business? We'll learn about that going forward. Now, let's really imagine what a product manager does. So imagine your team is building an app that helps them find affordable housing near campus. As a product manager, your job would be to interview students to understand their housing struggles, work with designers to create the right user experience, prioritize features based on what matters most, coordinate with developers to build the app, measure results. And I will give an example. Among students finding houses, usage growing. Before I go back to explain this, I would like to show you a diagram. All right, we'll go back in slide. Now, do you see this Venn diagram? It's an intersection between UX. UX stands for user experience, tech, and business. Now, if you remember in the second slide, I said you're acting as a bridge between the customer, the team, and the business, right? Now, customer would be user experience. As a product manager, in terms of being a bridge between the customer and every other aspect, that's between tech and business, that you are responsible for creating the user experience in that product. And you wonder, what is user experience? Then let's go back to the product manager role in action. You understand that? Now, what is user experience? It's basically generally how you feel, the satisfaction you get while using a product or after interacting with a product. Like, are you satisfied with it? Was there any challenges you had while using it? Does it even meet your need in the first place? For instance, just imagine this Teams app we're using is kind of buggy and it keeps going off and on. Although today I was the one going off and on. So just imagine it was actually like it was the product's fault and it was going off and on. Or let's say you click the mic to try to mute. Instead of it to mute, it stayed open. Or let's say it went mute and after like 3 minutes, it turned itself back on. Or it can't fit into your screen size. Because most of you now, for those that are using joining this call mobile, definitely the app has covered the whole of the screen, right? Like it's as though it was built for the screen because it was actually built for the screen. You are not seeing any gap into the other sections of the app. More like a laptop or a PC, you can easily resize the windows and you can view what's at the background or what could be behind it. Your mobile app is just fits to size, fits the screen size, and you are comfortable with that. Actually, you are not trying to like resize it. Oh, I have a smaller screen, but this thing was made for a big screen. Now I'm only seeing half part of it. It's just perfect because a product manager puts in the work to actually develop, like understand your needs and develop what we call a user experience. And this user experience summarized in what we call a user flow, which we'll learn later on in the course. So basically, the goal of a product manager is to ensure that your experience using that product is actually satisfactory. You don't have any reason to like grumble and be like, oh, like I mentioned about experience interacting with a wacky website earlier on. Let's say I said the website where there was no designer involved and everything's just scattered. There's ads everywhere. You can't even navigate through the website. You're looking for the back button, you're looking for the home button. That's a terrible user experience. You'll be more like, oh, I'm not going to use this website again. Because why? It's not that you have any personal beef with it before interacting with it. It's just that it's not satisfying your needs. How can you be struggling to find where the home button is or where the back button is? So basically, it's not useful. It's not meeting your needs. Let me put it that way. It's not useful to you in the way that you want it to. All right. Now, how does a product manager become a bridge between the customer and the rest of the aspects of product management, which is the team and the business? Let's look at this. Say as a product manager, your job now you say imagine your team is building an app. You have a team. It consists of the engineers, the designers. You want to build an app that will help students find housing near campus. Now, this last statement here, find affordable housing near campus, is what we call the problem you are trying to solve. You have your builders ready, which is your team. The product you want to build, which is an app, and the problem you want to solve, which is the student, which is helping students find affordable housing near campus. Now, as your program manager, your job would be now in the sense of understanding your customer, interview students to understand their housing struggles. Because the major aim of a product is actually to satisfy a customer need. I explained that trying to when I was explaining user experience. Like you want to satisfy a customer need, you want to ensure that what you are building actually meets the need of these people you are building it for. You actually like find it useful and you actually enjoy even using it. You have to conduct research to ensure that what do these people actually even want? What I'm building, is it really going to satisfy their need? You have to ask those questions. How did they think? How did they behave? Now, this vision statement here just started with a product idea in mind and a problem that you want to solve. In a real life scenario, starting with this vision statement, which is how most founders, sadly, which is how most founders start their products these days. Everybody's a tech founder. Brilliant idea. Wow, let's do like what like someone will say, let's make Uber for dogs. Like it's Uber, but it's just for moving dogs around. Like if you have a pet, you can move the pet. You can still order this special Uber or this special boat, and it can help you move your pet. Some of you may not relate because you don't have pets. Now, this is where a program manager will come in. The first question you will now be asking: how many people who have pets in this city that you want to do this Uber for pets for? Is it really a problem for them to move their pets around? If you don't ask these vital questions to understand your customer, your potential customer, you end up building a product that nobody will use. And the funny thing is that some people they don't do objective testing. Obviously, they are not professionals, they are not product managers. So they think building an app is just as simple as put something together, ask your friends and family, they should test it, and they'll tell you how it's like and something. Of course, they'll give you positive feedback. You're like, oh yeah, it's good, it's beautiful, especially when you imagine you had a very good designer and you did something very beautiful. And you're like, oh yeah, it's very good, very good. But when you know that you've built nothing, it's when the actual people that are supposed to be using it are not using it. Or let's say they just use your app and it's supposed to be a paid app. That is, the app's supposed to generate money. And they are not willing to pay for it. It's then you now realize that you missed a very vital step, which is understanding your users, designing a user experience that actually meets their need. A product with a user experience that actually satisfies their need. So as a product manager, what differentiates us from those wannabe founders is that we don't just jump to start building. We'll start asking questions. In this typical scenario, we'll start by interviewing the students. Because if I ask a question now, how do I want to understand okay, I want to build an app for students that makes housing affordable and helps them find housing near campus also, basically affordable housing near campus. The first question I'll ask is, do students have this problem? Like, is it really a problem? I'm just assuming. Probably I'm the one that had the problem. Doesn't mean everybody has that problem. Are you with me? Many products have been built on that self-assumption, and which is why many of them have failed. You can have experience a particular problem. I've seen people, as a product manager, a lot of people come to me time to time and they just bring ideas and be like, oh, how about this? I'll be like, sometimes I don't want to like, because they might just be acquaintances or friends. And I know that we're not going to move ahead with that thing, but just to make them feel nice, I won't start analyzing and giving them a breakdown because they will eventually become sad and depressed. Because once I begin to show them reasons why this thing might not be a good idea, if it's a good idea, it will pass the analysis. And I just come, you know what? I was trying to, I was trying to find uh a restaurant. Okay, let's say I was trying to find abacha to buy, you know, and then I just thought about it. It was difficult. How about we make an app for finding abacha to buy? He experienced a problem personally. He found it difficult looking for where to buy abacha, and he thought of a solution to that problem. But doesn't mean other people have that problem too. Else, you can go ahead and build an app that helps people find abacha, and you see only 5 persons are using it. Probably him, his brothers, his sisters, and probably his friends are liking. You have a problem. It would be wrong of you to assume that everybody has that problem. So now this problem statement here says help students find affordable housing is still an assumption. We don't know whether students have that same problem. Probably it's just us. We've observed and feel like, okay, yeah, this thing could be a problem, or probably from personal experience. Doesn't mean the people who want to build it for actually even have that problem. So we want to now verify that assumption. In logic, typically, which is what logic is basically about, any statement that is not verified is just regarded as a notion. It's not a fact. So if I say, let me see, if I say everybody in Nigeria is black, that's an assumption. And if you ask me what is my reason for coming up with that conclusion, I'll tell you, it's Africa now. All of us are, black people are all about. But is everybody in Nigeria black? If you even respond to me now, it will also be an assumption on your part. Logically speaking, we'd have to like conduct a consensus and find out how many, a census rather, how many black people, how many people in Nigeria are actually black? And you will shock to find out that a lot of, in fact, more than the amount of people that are not black will be beyond your expectation. So in product management, we challenge those assumptions before building a product so that we don't build rubbish. We don't build what nobody will use. You spend money. A lot of founders have cried because of this thing. And they feel like they are not just destined to succeed. They spend money, time, and effort building a product that nobody uses. As a program manager, how would I approach this problem? Is first of all, interview students because the product is for students. So I need to hear from students themselves. Do they have this problem? So I will conduct an interview to understand their housing struggles. It can be through digital forms. It can be walking up to random students on campus and asking them questions. It can be through what we call a group meeting. I can invite a group of 20 or 50 students from each department. And in that group session, I'll ask them, what are their struggles with finding housing around campus? And listen to them and hear them. If 40%, okay, 50 students, 40 of them, if say 40 of them agreed that there's a problem, that's 80% of the group. Let's say in faculty of engineering, 40 out of the 50 students said, oh yeah, I really find it difficult to find housing. Like they started their beta story and all that. And probably only 10 years said, well, I didn't really have any problem. And someone was already living somewhere, just as he just was about to graduate and he gave me his house, and that's all. No struggles. And I go about each faculty like that, and I'm getting average of like 80% of students are saying they have struggles. Some faculties even 90, some points even 100. That's signaling something to me. Like that's giving me a signal that I'm onto something good. I'm about to solve a real problem. Okay. Um, Aniola, there's no problem. If you leave, I'll continue recording. Excuse me. There's no problem. Once it's time for you to, our moderator would Sally will not be able to be with us to the very end. So would continue without her. So she's just basically here to ensure that the class is in order and everything's going as expected. So, Elizabeth, are you with me? Elizabeth, all right. So, if a large population